So here it is, the most important transfer window of the save so far. The transfer window into the Premier League. I mean, I say the most important. We've actually only had two prior to this, but it's definitely one of the biggest ones I've had in FM20 this year. Hey guys, welcome to episode 22 of my Bristol Rovers FM20 playthrough, the transfer window. My name is James, and on today's episode, we have exactly that. We have the transfer window as we try and figure out what on earth we're going to do after our promotion season into the Premier League, and we also have the season review. Since the last episode, I've taken a couple of days off from recording. I wanted to enjoy the last couple of episodes. I had so much fun recording them. It was obviously so unexpected, and I really needed to sit down and think what the plan was going to be. In all honesty, I've not actually clicked on since the last episode. I've not seen any of the board expectations. I've not seen the budgets. I've not seen anything at all. So I'm going to be seeing these afresh as and when you see them as well. So a lot of my planning could only go so far. And even now, I still don't know what the plan is going to be. Especially as we were expected to get relegated last season. Never mind surviving and never mind getting promoted again. So we're going to see what the plan is going to be and what we're going to do going forward. My worry is it's going to be, we have basically you have two options. We're obviously going to try and survive, but we either try and survive with the team we've got and hope that they're good enough when we get relegated to fight in the Championship next year, or we try and use the budgets and the money we've got to be able to fight and try and survive and hope and pray that we get enough points to be able to do that. I think that's probably very unrealistic, but surely at this point with this team, I've can be nothing but positive with what they've done. So let's do it. Let's see what the initial budgets are. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Wow. Okay, so we've got £375,000 a week. Essentially over triple what we had in the Championship. I don't see it being the fact that we were around 10% of some of the teams in the Championship. It's not going to be very much. However, it's still more than we've got now, and a transfer budget of £33.5 million. And one of the key reasons I'm so amazed about that is for something I haven't actually showed you guys yet, which is this: we're £5.5 million in debt. This is one of the reasons, bar obviously we're now in the Premier League, that I'm excited about us getting promoted, because it was necessary. Hopefully, in theory, our financial worries are now over. If we're able to pull £33.5 million out of thin air, in all intents and purposes, because it's definitely not in the budget, then it must be because they're expecting a windfall to come in, and presumably that will come in as and when, and we'll see that when it happens. Right, I'm going to jump forward to the season review. We'll have a little look through that while I continue to try and think what I'm going to do. We'll also have a little look at the team reports and try and figure out what the plan is going to be going forward. In all honesty, whenever I've been in this position with a save, normally with more of an established team and not a team that was pretty much identical to the one that was in League One. So it's going to be a big window. Right, I will jump forward to the season review. To start with, we have the Bristol Rovers overall best 11. Unsurprisingly, even just as a quick glance, I can see that it's going to be this season's team, as it is the best team that we've had. We've only had technically two of them in the 2 years we've been doing the save. So, but Kevin Long was one of the 4 players to be inducted into it. He was a regular at the back with Kilgore, along with Lumeka, Odebayo and Thomas, who have come into it as well. So the 11 is as follows: Jacola in goal, Kingsley. Where is Kingsley in the world now? Now, obviously, Kingsley was with us the season before. He's now gone to Cincinnati. Oh, that was it, yes, because he was with us last season. I was hoping to try and get him back for this season, but we couldn't because he'd already agreed to transfer to Cincinnati. How did he get on? He played... Actually, he's now been there. He's now coming to the second season. So he played 14 games in the first one 1 assist, didn't have a great season, starting to have a better season. with 13 games, 2 assists and a 7.08. We then have Long, Kilgore and Little, Clark, Onjonjo and Upson, Barrett, Lumeka and Clark Harris. I'd like to think that a good portion of those players are going to be involved this year. Little won't be. I think Little's done. He was struggling in the league below. He definitely can't make the step up. It may be a case of we go with a very young side. So unfortunately that does mean players like, Clark might be able to do it, but Upson maybe have to step aside. But apart from that, pretty much everyone else involved in it, I think, hopefully could make, if they're not step up, at the very least fight and kind of hold their own. So we now have the season awards. So very similar to it was last year. We have Johnson, Clark, Harris. This time manages to win first. Upson drops down to second with Ollie Clark in third. Ollie Clark gets goal of the season. We scored so many. I personally believe that the Zay Walker one should be the goal of the season. I think it should be the goal of both these seasons. I think it should be one of the greatest goals we've ever scored. But we will see which long-range screamer was the one that was scored by Ollie Clark. So we are the Lumeka just before half-time to Clark, to Thomas. I do remember this one, to Barra. And then from long range, slotting it into the bottom left. That was a very good goal. Definitely, it was further out than Walker's was, definitely. But for obvious reasons, the Walker one will always be the favourite in my eyes. Signing the season, Odebayi. He played well when he came on. Only 14 matches, 2 from the bench, 3 goals, 6 assists, and then a 7.24 average rating in the championship. So not a bad start at all. Obviously, he came in on a free. He can't really complain at that, can he? For nothing. And the young player of the season was Luca Hall, who stepped in to be our right back when Little was struggling, Odebayo was injured, and that it's all green across the board. For 19 years old, again, he's one of our own as well, and to come in and do that in your first major season, I know he played a couple of games the year before, but can't ask for any more from him from that. And then the team of the season, it's going to be very similar to the overall best 11, but Chicola in goal, Holmes, Dennis, Long, Kilgore and Hall make the back four, Ollie Clark, Adebayi and Upson in midfield, with Barrett, Ginelli and Clark Harris up front. With the season review itself, obviously we defied, as it says here, all expectations. We got through to the third round of the FA Cup and went out to Leicester. There is no shame in going out to a Premier League team who we're actually going to be facing this year. Third in the Championship and went up via the playoffs. Lost in the second round to Bournemouth. Again, losing to another Premier League team. Hopefully we can do a little bit better this year. But the key thing I want to focus on is we were 96% full last season. One of the issues we had was we weren't making any money. Obviously, we're going to make more money now with TV rights, with being in the Premier League in general, the brand awareness that comes with that. But we're going to need to. The hope is the board turn around and say, we're going to expand the Memorial Stadium at the very minimum. Whether they go down the brand new stadium route, we haven't got the money for it. But we'll see what comes in. Hopefully, we have to do something like that, because I would guess at the very minimum, if I go on to we've gone to the Championship, things haven't quite ticked over yet, so we haven't got Premier League. But Premier League rules. What is the rules on? Do we have stadium minimum capacity? So at the very least, we're going to have to go up, 1,000, about 600 seats. But the seating capacity has to be 12,500, which I don't believe if it's like it is in real life, we're definitely not. Yeah, we've only got 2,000. I reckon we'll probably end up going for a new stadium. They'll end up building from scratch, because that's far too much to do probably for one stadium, and I would guess we'd probably end up ground sharing with someone else for a little while we were doing it, because it's going to take a little bit longer than just the summer to be able to do that. Right, club vision and expectations. Fight bravely against relegation. That's exactly what I was looking for. The board is also looking to sell the club. Now, I suppose it makes sense at this point. They were looking to sell it anyway, and why not sell it while the stock is at its highest to get a good value for the club? And also with the amount of money that's likely to be coming in, whoever does take over, if the takeover before that comes in, they're going to be coming into quite a windfall. They want to play entertaining football, play high tempo pressing football, and make the most of set pieces. I'm going to have to learn to be a defensive manager. I've never been a defensive manager. I always play attacking football. I don't know if it will even work. As much as I'd like to try it, I don't know if it will even be fun if we're getting absolutely hammered every single week, because I can't play anything else other than attacking football. Right, let's go into negotiate and see what... I'm going to remove that because, yes, I might go down the route of playing for set pieces, but I don't necessarily want to be judged by it. I'm happy with high-pressing tempo football and entertaining football. I can try that. That's not an issue to me. And work within the wage budget and fight brave against relegation. It's basically what we're going to do, and we are more than likely going to go down. Cool. Dynamics, naturally, they are... I mean, the dressing room atmosphere is as high as it can be. Managerial support is on the up as well. Here we have the situation where we look at who's actually going to be playing next season. Agogo is going, so we're going to hopefully one of these players will step up. It may likely to be Clark Harris. He was a team leader before. Upson and Clark are going to be around the team. Clark is more than likely, other than Upson, to be... Clark is more likely than Upson to be in the team itself, but with his experience, maybe we do lean on Upson a bit as well. But we have got Jacola, Kilgore, Holmes, Dennis, Barrett, Janelli, Long. Janelli is another one. What do we do now? Because are Preston still in? Are they still in the Premier League? Did they survive? They did not. They came back down again, so they're probably going to want to keep him. Do we look to buy him? Do we need to buy him is the other query. That's something we'll definitely have to review as well. End of season meeting. What do we say to this? I think we say that. We've done brilliantly to go up, but we know it's a tough season ahead. I want you to know that I'll be bringing some new faces to help us fight as hard to avoid relegation. I think that is... Yep. Exactly agree with me. That is fantastic. End of season break, they've now gone on. Where are we going? We are going to Portugal for our pre-season camp. Oh, actually, we do have a couple of options. Where do we go? Portugal, Spain. I think Portugal. Let's give them a nice hot weather training camp. I think they'll enjoy that. Right, so top goal scorer. Clark didn't manage it this year, but being the fact he managed to be third in the Championship is incredible in itself, with West Ham and bizarrely Sheffield Wednesday, who I believe were mid-table. He managed to score 32 goals, and presumably they conceded just as many to be able to stay where they were. Cool. So if any more awards come up, I will jump to them. Other than that, I'll jump on a couple of days, give the game a chance to maybe tick over to the next season, and then we'll look to review the squad and what we're going to do going forward. So my query around the stadium is answered very quickly. The board have announced plans to enlarge the stadium by 9,754 seats. The planned work will also include installing understory heating at the stadium. The planned costing is an estimated £13.79 million. Has to be carried out in order to comply with legal requirements. Additional funding for the project has also been secured with a £6 million grant from authorities. It is expected that these works will take around 10 months to complete. While the development is undertaken, the club will ground share with Southampton at St Mary's Stadium. That's going to be quite a trek. Right, well, looking at this, so it's an hour and 48 minutes and a 100-mile drive, having to go via Newbury, or it's 2 hours, 16 minutes, 85-mile drive straight through the countryside, or a almost 3-hour train journey. I'm going to take a shot we're not going to have many actual Rovers fans this season. I mean, surely there was somewhere quicker. I mean, Bournemouth maybe, but I don't know if Bournemouth would even be closer. Would it be any closer? Let's have a look. I'm not sure. I can't remember what Bournemouth Stadium's called. Bournemouth. Let's call it that. Let's see. It'd be even worse because you have to go all the way around. I mean, it's not that much difference with the going through the countryside, but you don't going via Southampton anyway. Right. I may end up having to move. However, one thing I will do before we move on, if we go into the squad, let's have a look at some of the runners and riders for this season. So, in terms of appearances, Jacola was ever present all season, bar 1 or 2 where he was away on international duty. Kilgore with behind him with 49, again ever present. Barrett, Long, Kilgore's partner in central defence, and then Ollie Clark and Upson. To have so many players in the 30s and 40s, again, it just shows our consistency last season. In terms of goals, it was always going to be the man. Clark Harris, 20 goals, 8 assists. Giannelli did come in with a hatful of goals, though, 12 goals for him, and Barrett 10 goals. Scoring from the wings is again something, because between those three there, we've got 42 goals. And then Lumeka there didn't quite play as often as I hope he would do. He did have a number of injuries, but he still managed 24 games, 6 from the bench, 9 goals, and 4 assists. If we look at assists, it's going to be the usual guys: Barrett, Harris, Upson, Dennis managed to come in with half dozen as well. Adebayi as well coming in. He only played 15 games, but still managed to get 6 assists. And actually, the assists are spread much wider than the goals as well, which is really nice to show the fact that everyone's getting involved. In terms of average rating, our star was Adebayi. Again, he said he only played 15 games, but he played well every time he came on. Harris, to have played 35 games and to have 7.19 is really good. George Thomas, his backup. Luca Hall, Upson and John Joe. See, again, I said all these youngsters that are coming in and playing well when they've had games. Obviously, I don't expect remotely as good a season next season. I don't expect to see as much green next season either. But I really do. Maybe it's me struggling to see the wood through the trees, but I really do want to give these guys a chance to at least try and prove themselves. Maybe we use it as a tester season to see what we can what we can do. But that budget, that £33 million budget, does seem very tempting to at least bring in 1 or 2 significant signings. I don't want to go too crazy with it. I don't want to break the dynamics of the team, and 1 or 2 to strengthen in certain areas and give ourselves a fighting shot. One thing I've just noticed as well, we are still in the process of a board takeover, which means we're under transfer embargo. I'm not going to be selling or buying anybody for a little while yet, by the looks of it. This board takeover is getting weirder and weirder. So the current board with Wal Arkadi just injected £3.6 million to help with running costs. I've also just had the new scouting budget, which I can't amend because they're in the middle of a board takeover. Because if I go on the finances and go on here, again, I can't amend this. I'm just going to skip through until this is over with, because at the moment I can't seem to do anything when it comes to planning. Right, the board takeover is complete. First email we had through was a monthly financial update. We're in the black, or the white, depending on how you describe this. And we are £2 million in the black as well, which is really bizarre. I presume they injected money as soon as they took over. Consortium completes board takeover. A consortium led by investor Martin Starnes, has successfully completed a takeover of Bristol Rovers, replacing former owner Wal Arkadi. Starnes revealed that he was delighted by the deal and indicated that he wanted to make a difference for the fans at St Mary's Stadium. That's so weird. Starnes is currently Bristol Rovers managing director, a post he has held since July 2018. Cool. So actually we did, in theory, just promote from within. Personal message. I want to thank you for your patience during this undoubtedly been a stressful time, everyone involved at the club. Some £2.3 million has been pumped into the club's coffers, and a new transfer budget has been calculated. Right, we have a new transfer budget, and there's some director stuff. Club vision and expectations meeting. We have another one, the second one so far this year. It can't be different, surely. It's not different. So they want us to fight bravely against relegation, but then continue remaining in the Premier League. I mean, I'm going to guess that would change if we went down and I still wouldn't get sacked. High pressing tempo, football, entertaining football, sign players under age 23 for the first team. Loving all of those. Absolutely fine with that. Except vision, not even going to argue with any of that. Board lift embargo, yay, I can make transfers. and the board insist on holding a meeting to discuss potentially extending my contract. I will get that done, and then I will come back in if there's any more information. Right, I've signed a new contract. So my new contract is a 3-year contract on 30k a week, which is obviously definitely a boost on what I was on before. In terms of the budgets themselves, they don't appear to have changed. Roughly £33.5 million. I think the wage budget's gone up slightly. I think it was £375,000. So we've got an extra 10 grand a week on top of that as well. Or we're not even spending half that, so I wouldn't necessarily worry about that as such. But hopefully it means I can now adjust things like the scouting budgets, try and expand some of the areas that we're actually scouting, and start making some inquiries into bringing in new players. So the transfer window has opened, and our first transfer of the summer has come in. We have signed Jack Rolls from Tottenham for a staggering fee of £59,000. I can't believe we actually got this player for this money. He's already come in at 1.7 million. He is a midfielder. We definitely need, regardless of who leaves or who comes and goes, we definitely needed to bolster the midfield. We have got a lot of youngsters in there, but we needed a little bit more quality. This guy comes in. We've played Mazzala roles previously, but he can also play the box to box, which is likely where he'll be playing next season. So he comes in at 3.5-star current ability, 4.5-star potential ability. It says he's potentially to be a leading star championship midfielder. If we go down, he'll be good for us next season. But maybe he might be able to make the step up. Even if he doesn't, he seemed like an absolute bargain. Worst case scenario is we sell him on if we manage to stay in the Premier League and he doesn't manage to make it up here. So we send him to a championship club and more than likely we'll make some money off of him. So that's a positive if anything. Our second transfer of the summer is in. The prodigal son returns. This is a little bit of a personal transfer as well as one I think might benefit the club. Tom Lockyer comes in. Now, for anyone who is aware of the history of Bristol Rovers, he is a former youngster and youth player of Bristol Rovers up until a season or two ago. He left on a free to Charlton. He wanted to go up to a higher level, ended up in the Championship. He's played 2 seasons for them. We've now flipped above them. He currently comes in as one of the better centre-backs at the club. Harries is actually, I believe, agreeing to go on a loan this summer. So having 3 good centre-backs at the club is going to be something we really want. He's a decent championship player for most championship sides. Again, if we go down, and I'm going to try not to repeat that too often, but if we do go down, again, he's going to be good for us at the championship level. Have spent a little bit of money on him. We did spend £5 million to bring him in. That was, as I said, driven a little bit by by what I feel trying to right a wrong in terms of I feel he should have stayed at the club. But bring him in. I think he can do a job for us. He's still a good centre back, and I hope he's going to do well. Only thing is, he is on a 5-year contract, so he will be here until the end of his career, pretty much. So hopefully he'll do well. Because this is not this would not be a player that I want to kind of be selling on a loss later on, because that will sting just a little bit. Right, we have another player across the line. Odin Bailey is a 21-year-old English attacking midfielder. This is a little bit of an indication into how some of the different tactics we're going to be training over the summer. He comes in from Birmingham for £1.3 million, 3-star current ability, 5-star potential ability. I've brought him in as an option. We will more likely be looking at playing the same tactic we did last year, but also having an attacking midfielder option as well. He's a half-decent player that comes in with some good potential. He is currently operating at a League One level, but has the potential to be a Premier League attacking midfielder in the future. So definitely one that we can keep an eye on. So we have ticked over to the new season and the fixtures have been released, with our first 5 fixtures being Watford, Crystal Palace, Arsenal, Chelsea and Fulham. Excluding Arsenal and Chelsea, I probably couldn't have asked for a kinder entry into the Premier League. Watford's still going to be a difficult game, but we have played Crystal Palace. Fulham I know struggled last season as well. And so hopefully we can really kind of test ourselves against those. We're going to receive £83.22 million in Premier TV rights. I don't know if we've received any of that yet. No, we haven't. We're back down into £4.5 million worth of debt. But that will go a long, long way to meaning this club is financially secure for a long time to come. What we can also do now is look at the team report. So now everything is ticked over. Obviously, the players have now adjusted the star ratings. So if we go up to 3-star current ability. So we have Josh Barrett on the left. We have Lumeka on the right, who's actually now dropped a little bit in terms of star rating. We have Clark Harris and our lone player, Eddie, who I'm sure when I agreed to bring him in loan, I'm sure he was better as I'm sure he was a winger or was classed as a winger. Maybe I'll put that down to an error for me, but he's a good option, be it out on the be it out wide or as an inside forward, or be it as a striker. In midfield, we have Jack Rolls, who came in as a transfer recently, and then Ollie Clark. However, if we do drop down to say 2-star, we do have the youngsters in there as well: Reece Cole, Sharp, Bud, and Adebayi as well. And then if we're looking at the back four, Holmes Dennis and Connolly will be our left back, but I would like to look to bring in another one, somebody who is going to be stronger than Holmes Dennis. We've got Long, Kilgore, and Lockyer as the back four. Although I just realised Lockyer has dropped quite significantly. He went from being he was far better than Long and Kilgore, or at least in line with Long, and has now dropped down. That's disappointing. But again, there's going to be lots of errors and mistakes for me in this, because as you'll probably tell very, very quickly, I am very much a lower league manager, and playing in the Premier League is not something I am as prevalent with. We then have on the right hand side Odebayo and Hoole are our main right backs, but again we'll look to bring somebody else in on that right hand side, be it on loan or bring him in permanently. And then we have Talbot and Jacola, who has also dropped, although he's now showing us actually as 3-star on there. But those will be the two that we're fighting out for the goalkeeping position. It is the 1st of July. The pre-season has started. We have had our reputation boost. Everything has now ticked over to the new season, and it is also the release of the free transfers. So we'll definitely I will definitely be working my way through that list to see what Premier League experience we can actually bring into this squad. But one thing I thought I'd look at was the Premier League preview. It's as was be expected. We are rock bottom of the season preview list, 1,000 to 1 to obviously to win the title. I mean, there's absolutely no chance of that, barely chance of us staying up. With Fulham and Crystal Palace, who also got got promoted as well, are expected to be relegated. That is also interesting because that is 2 of our first 5 fixtures, so that's massive going into it straight away. With our other fixtures, including Watford, who are also expected to be around the relegation zone, along with Arsenal and Chelsea, who are expected to be 6th and 3rd, respectively. So expect 2 losses in that one. No one in the Media Dream 11, unsurprisingly. But if we do scroll down, we do have our key players. So key players are Nkita and Long, who are 2 key players. Both of those will be more than likely be regular starters for us, with Nkita retraining him to try and be a winger and try and utilise some of his pace, as I'd like to stick with Clark Harris up front, even initially, and then maybe Nkita could come in as a backup if we need a change. It is the 9th of July. We have signed another player. This one I am particularly proud of, and I think is probably going to be one of the signings of our summer. We have Daniel Arzani, who is a 22-year-old Australian winger who comes in from Manchester City for £5 million. He is going to be he's one of the best players at the club. 4.5-star current ability, 5-star potential ability. He is a right winger who can play inverted winger, advanced playmaker. He can play winger as well. He can also play in the centre. He's got 25 caps for Australia at 22 and 4 goals. Good player for most Premier League sides. He is far better than anyone else we've got in those 2 positions. yes, we're paying 40 grand a week for him, and if we get relegated, his 5-year contract may be an issue. But I am hoping by bringing in players like this, this is gonna make a statement that we are here to try and stay up. And I'm just hoping and praying that this isn't a mistake. But I think at the very minimum, if we do go down, he's valued at 11 million. We'll make a profit on him if we go down and we have to sell him on. But I think if we can stay up, I think he's going to be an absolute star. Right, we have transfer number 8 of the summer. This time it is a loan. We have Emil Kraf, who is a 26-year-old Swedish right back on loan from Newcastle. I'm not 100% sure why they loaned him to us, being the fact they've just been relegated and are also playing bizarrely in the Europa League as they won the FA Cup. 3.5-star current ability, 4-star potential ability. He comes in, unsurprisingly, as our best right back. Odebayo's had a little bit of a strop. He wanted a new contract, but I didn't feel he justified it. So he tried to disrupt the squad. The only players that agreed with him were a couple of youngsters, and when I promptly said the fact I don't think he deserved it, and surely if I give him one, everyone's going to want one, they agreed with that, and no one agrees with him anymore. So he's likely to drop down to the bench, with Emil coming in as our starting right back. Definitely what we needed. We do have a optional future free agreed of 4.9 million if we really want to bring him in. This one we cannot terminate, unfortunately, and he is taking a significant chunk of both wage and transfer budget. But we really needed to improve at right back, so I think he definitely is one of the missing puzzle pieces in our defence. Right, we mark up another transfer. This time a free transfer. Bringing in an experienced Premier League player, Matt Ritchie, a 31-year-old Scottish. It says right winger. We're actually going to be playing him as left back. He's played a couple of times in a couple of our friendlies. Has really impressed. He can play as a backup on that right-hand side if we need him as well. Formerly of Newcastle, most recently, who got relegated. Everton, Bournemouth. And then other teams before that as well. He's been around. He's played over 437 games. He's played 437 games in all. Vast experience. Even if he comes in as an experienced player to try and tutor some of the youngsters, I think it'd be worth bringing in for that. I believe he's only in on a 2-year contract. And then by that point, he'll probably be looking at retiring anyway. Another player who I forgot to mention about earlier who came in on a free transfer, Sami Khedira, is a 34-year-old German midfielder. I know what everyone's going to say, but I brought him in purely because I was drawn in by that. His mental stats are far more than anyone else we could probably get at this club. Yes, he is slower than the moon. But I'm going to bring him in again for tutoring players. He's actually played, as you can see down there, 3 friendlies so far and actually had quite a good time. But he comes in from Wolves, who spent £16.5 million on him and then let him go on a free. He's previously been at Juventus, Real Madrid, Stuttgart. He's been around Europe, and he now comes to the might of Bristol Rovers to come in as our main deep-lying playmaker. But depending on how his fitness is throughout the season, but we do have a couple of options that we can bring him for him as well. But again, I wanted to try and bring in some experience of players who played in the top flight. He is a risk, but he is retiring at the end of the season, so he's only on a 1-year contract. So if he is a complete flop, he won't be here outside of this season, which is good. It's the 18th of July, and this is likely to be, I think, the last transfer I'll make during this transfer window. I don't feel the need to buy anybody else. I've ticked off pretty much everyone that I had shortlisted. However, carrying on the theme of bringing in loan players and then replacing them with permanent transfers, welcome Thierry Correa, who is a 22-year-old. It says he's a right back, mainly a right back. I will be looking to play him at left back, as we already have brought in a right back on loan, as I stated. But he comes in as a 22-year-old fullback, Portuguese. Comes in from Valencia for £2.5 million. They spent £10.5 or £10.25 million even just 2 seasons ago. So his value has definitely dropped considerably. But he comes in to be hopefully our main left back, just ahead of Holmes Dennis, and then who will then drop down to be the backup, and then Connolly will obviously go back probably down into the development squad. He can also play on the right hand side as well, so it does unfortunately push Odebayo further down the list when it comes to backups, but it does mean that Emil Kraft is still going to be our starting right back. It does make me consider in January whether we do need to keep him. It depends on whether we can bring another left back in. If I do find another left back that is worth bringing in, then this guy's likely to go back in January, and then we'll keep Thierry as a right back. Right, here's a familiar sight. We are looking at a match day and ticket revenue in the Premier League. Last season it was looking at the wage budget. Tottenham are the top with £91 million of match day and ticket revenue income. And funny enough, we don't belong in this league, do we? So it is the 7th of August. We are now the same day as the first match of the season against Watford. In tomorrow's episode, I am going to do a swift roundup of the transfer window. But as I said in the last one I did, thank you so much if you've got to this point in the video and you have watched all of this. I even just from what I've seen recorded, I know this is going to be a bit of a long one. But just to kind of give a brief summary before I do go, we've got 13 million left of the original. It says original 24.21 million, but it was 33 million I think at the start. We are slightly over budget, so I can adjust that slightly so we are under. There we go. So we've got 10 million left. Whether I spend it or not is a different matter. I don't think I necessarily need to. So we've got 2 days before the transfer window ends. So if a player does come up within that time that I really think would benefit the club, without just bringing in players for the sake of it, at least we've got some spensies there to be able to get that player. If not, we'll see how we get on, and maybe we'll spend that in January instead. So if you enjoyed that, please give the episode a like, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to hit the bell icon to be notified of brand new FM20 videos from me every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 5 PM. And thank you very much for watching.